hold on, real quick. Listen, this is the Gray Area Podcast.
Let's
go.
go.
The funny thing is, I looked up the definition of cool, and the older definition is basically just a temperature. You know what I'm saying? A low temperature. But then a newer definition, very attractive, fashionable, interesting in a way that people admire.
So I was thinking about this right before we tapped in. It's like I would think of cool like influence. Like cool is influence and your ability to influence somebody. Like so if you're cool, you can positively influence people, right? It's like you're cool is positively it's a positive effect, right? To be cool. If something's not cool, it's a negative.
There's three sides to it, though, right? There's the good, the bad, and then there's
I
the
would
gray.
say if you somebody that is predisposed to think cool is the shit, like anything cool, like right, the trends, the topics, like it's a positive. Cool is not bad to you. Like if you chase cool, cool is not bad to you.
No, but what is cool to each individual person though? I feel like that's somewhat
Right.
specific to.
It's subjective. It's totally
Right.
subjective.
So
Yeah.
you might look at cool different from somebody else look cool, but the power of cool is influence. That's how I'm looking at it. Like we all might, right? So it's like if you super cool,
Right.
that's you super influencer. You have you're impactful, right? Like the definition said. And it's like really for me, it's like the problem is like what people will do for the influence, what people will do to be cool, right? It's like that's really where you get into the gray and the fucked up of it all. Because it's like what becomes so important is to have that influence and have that effect on people. People do whatever, you know what I mean? They'll do whatever for that.
Right. I'd agree with that. So when utilized correctly, the perception of being cool can inspire and motivate people to putting their best foot forward to be the version that they want to be. Right? Would you say that?
But I feel like cool is used to sell you things that are, it's not used in that way. It's definitely used.
Well, that's one way of it. That's one way. Okay, so I'll put it to you like this. Has there ever been somebody that you admire for something they've accomplished?
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
talking to anybody who's in the room. Has there
Of
ever
course.
been somebody that you admire, right? That's cool to you. Now, if you admire somebody, you usually tend to, try to model some of their traits into your own wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, use them as an influence.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly. So cool can be perceived that way too, I think, at least. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's utilized in the perfect sense of me being inspired by something I perceive cool, it's something that's going to push me to put my best foot forward. But then there's the bad side of it, which is, you know what I'm saying, the corporations and what we're told is cool. You know what I'm saying?
I would say if cool being influence, you can use influence in any way. You can use it for good or for bad, right? The tool is influence. You can use that in different ways. So branding and marketing, they're going to sell you cool. And that's the negative effect of influence. They have the influence to sell you that perception. And then, the flip side to it is the people that are genuinely cool, like shit that just fits your wave and fits your, right, your sensibility, if it fits what you like, your hobbies, your interests or whatever. So that's cool to you. And so, that can have the positive effect. But if cool is just influence, you know what I mean? Like what you do for that influence is just as impactful than as what you do with the influence. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel like I understand what you're saying, the point you're trying to make. Scene 5, where you weigh in with this, bro?
My take on the whole it's funny actually when we were talking about like the topic. I remember in room 34 at IAR, it was when the first time I ever, and it was Tay, and Tay was saying the word wavy. This is like 2011. So this is like,
Yeah, nobody says that anymore.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like, cause it came and went, but I'll never forget that I was just like, oh, I'd never heard that term before. And Tay was just like saying, this is the wave, this is that, this is wavy. And then it took like 5 years for that to end up on, like Max B, and that was like a big Harlem thing for a while too. But like eventually Kanye had that song, had the wave song or whatever it was called. Like that was a funny thing about at IAR, was just such a, whatever you want to call it. There was so many different, all 5 boroughs, Jersey people. There's people from all over the place, like coming in and just using all sorts of different slang. And I recall hearing so much shit that was like, I've never heard that before. And then like 6 years later, like my little nephew saying,
like wave,
you know what I mean?
like wavy, wavy is not here. But people still say, that's the wave.
Yeah.
People still say that.
I was just like, I've never heard that term before. And then it was like the Kanye Life of Pablo album, which is like 5 years after that. That's what I mean.
Because the thing with that is like, The thing with that was
I don't
like
know. It's just
Max B
kind of
was saying that. I'm from obviously being from Harlem. Max B was saying that for a while, even in that era. So it was like that was just the normal. But like you saying, for it to be picking up is like that's when other people get a hold of it, and now they make it even cooler for a larger. You know what I mean?
right. I don't think that people our age are ready to grapple with the speed at which things move, and that something could become a meme and played out by like the end of the weekend. You know what I mean? Like you see shit that's in commercials now that was slang 7 years
Look
ago.
what they
You
did to
know?
the chopped cheese, bro.
Right, right. No, nobody knows that Cameron was
Yeah.
at
Look what they did to the
shooting the
chopped
video on
cheese,
Hodges.
bro.
Yo, on
Fucking 10 across the street from 10.99, 11.99 and shit, bro. Like, come on,
It's
man.
really that
it's that
influence,
quick.
man. Because it's
It would.
really like okay, the chopped cheese been there forever, and this demographic of people know about it. It's not nothing brand new. But then you're gonna put some influence on it and say, "Oh, look what we discovered," into a brand new market of people. It's like it's brand new. It's the new wave. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like even the way you have all these brands, McDonald's and all these type of places have Twitter, and they tweet like they're humans, but they're fucking obviously they're big brands. Like, but they know how to influence in terms of saying cool shit and influencing people and getting the engagement to get people to fuck with the brand. You know what I mean?
That's because Burger King and McDonald's and all these big brands, that's because they have a 24-year-old recent
And
college
he knows
graduate
what cool
intern
is.
working there,
Right. He
running
knows
their
what's
Twitter
cool for
account.
that demographic. So I'm saying,
Yeah.
like,
That's why he be up there like, oh yeah, this double rodeo cheeseburger
right.
is the
Like,
vibe.
so they know how to sell and propagate the
It's
idea
the
of what
vibe.
cool
You're
is.
right.
You know what I'm saying? We buy into what cool is supposed to be, but with technology and shit, it's fleeting. It's always changing. It's forever changing. Like, so cool is kind of like it's whatever you think it is, but it's also the tool that a lot of marketing companies and big corporations and even we self police each other, right? Oh, that's not cool. You know what I mean? Oh, that's not what we do. You know what I mean? Who told you that's not what we do? You know?
I think that's also subjective to upbringing. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to somebody saying you shouldn't do this, that's only because in whatever environment they came up in, it was frowned upon or it happened so often that now they're completely
That's what
against it as
that's
adults.
what
You know
anything
what I'm
like
saying?
no homo. Like
Mm.
we were grown up in a environment. You say something that sounds slanderous, like no homo. But it's like that's exactly
Hey
exactly.
yo, pause. Now it's hey
So it's
yo,
like you
pause.
detach. If you didn't do that, you were a weirdo. You know what I mean? If you was from Harlem, you from New York, and you didn't say no homo, like I dead would like this stupid guys. Like, nah, bro, you're stupid for not doing that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that's with anything. Everybody's gonna have their different realm, whether your age and your upbringing, of what it is that is a positive influence that you might need to be around, or with other people, what you might reaffirm other people for having is okay. He's in the end. He's down. You know what I mean? It might change and fluctuate, but it's like I guess part of it is like, well, why do we even do that? Why do you even do that? Why does it matter? Why do you think
Why do
people? Part of cool is peacocking, like you know what I mean, the fawns and being that guy. Like, why do people do that?
that's just human nature. It's human nature to want to stand out. And you know what I'm saying? It might not be a huge feeling to want to stand out, but we
For
all want to
sure.
be noticed, right? And now we consume shit on such a fast level that it's like the need for some of these people to be noticed is more than it's ever been. I was talking with somebody the other day, and the topic came up like what would happen if social media shut down for 2 years. For 24 months there was no more social media, right? A lot of people would commit suicide, bro.
100%.
Definitely.
A lot of people will be killing
Definitely.
themselves. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? A lot of
Yeah, dude.
livelihoods, a lot of millionaires that have been made in the last couple years would
So
go
now
bankrupt.
you have people whose entire income is based off of social media now.
Right.
People are influencers. They support their families off this now. Yeah, I think yes, there's some people that would definitely either have to go get a regular job
A lot of
they'd
people
kill
would. A
themselves.
lot of them would. A lot of them would. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Social media is an economy now.
I mean, think about just purely think about the OnlyFans models that are living in these
Yes.
penthouses strictly off of these monthly subscriptions.
Oh, like Pinky Doll. Yeah, I know. So I don't. I don't really know what she is or what she's doing, but people say that she's acting out what it's like to be a real life NPC.
Oh,
So
that's what they do
she's
now.
so
That's what they
she's
do
sitting
now.
there. Yeah, she's sitting there streaming. She's going. Ice cream's so good. Yeah, this and that. And
Right.
people are like spending money.
People pay.
And
Absolutely.
she says she makes about $7,000 a day doing this,
Yeah, bro.
just acting like I guess an NPC,
Non-playable
I guess a
character.
video game character.
Right. When you play
Yeah, was this the
GTA
shit where?
and you're just driving around and you hear somebody say something crazy, or you get in a fucking cab and the cab driver is just saying off the wing shit.
I wish I could pull up a clip of her right now saying like what she's doing, because it's really weird.
Is this the shit where
Yeah,
they
basically.
just repeat like what's in the comments?
Yeah,
'Cause I saw a couple videos.
Yeah, she's like,
Yo,
she's like, ice cream so good, ice cream so good, ice cream so good.
Yo, that is the most like this. I don't know.
It's definitely
what,
some Black Mirror shit. Yeah.
like post-apocalyptic shit.
It's
Like-
Orwellian for
like it's
sure. I'll
crazy.
say that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Our society is still intact with that shit happening. It's just
Oh,
like,
this is the
all right,
beginning
But
of
why
that.
are
This is
people
the
run
beginning
away
of
out?
that.
why are people giving her money?
Because the
Why
money
are they
don't have
giving her
no
money?
value to them.
Because there's
that's
a lot.
crazy.
There's a lot more nerds than you account for, bro.
Like, what would I look like? What kind of person would I be if I was giving this woman money for her to sit there and tell me ice cream's so good, ice cream's so good?
The way the
Ice
internet
cream's so
works these
good.
days, bro, it could be
That's the
anybody that you
new-
see on the train. It could be anybody
That's
that
a-
you
that's a-
randomly encounter. It
That's
could
the
be
new
anybody.
control, though.
Yeah,
If
we're
you think about it, it's like it's control, right? It's like I paid and you did this thing. It's like I influenced that.
Yeah, we're seeing the last days right
Well,
now.
we'll be here. Yeah, Gray Area
Crazy
Podcast will be
shit.
here to talk about
Yeah,
all
man.
of it. Make sure you check out next after these 4, we're gonna do one on power and control, because that's some control shit right there.
We will be broadcasting on the very last day of
Going
Earth.
down with the
Don't worry.
Titanic. You
Yes,
know?
we are the band that played on.
But yeah, man, listen, I think, even to culminate
Good
to what's
Lord.
going to be going on in later episodes, yeah, it's like you got to be careful what you do for cool. You know what I mean? Like the general idea for guys is like, hey, if you ain't got the chains, right? If you're not the rapper avatar with the 5,000-7,000 bitches on your dick, and you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not that guy, you're not nothing. That's the cool avatar. You know what I'm saying? Vice versa for the chicks now. You gotta be a stripper, rapper, OnlyFans girl that's traveling everywhere and body done. If you're not that, you ain't shit. It's like you gotta be careful chasing those.
You have to be able to make a large amount of money and not have to go to work every day. That's the main thing. What's cool in today's standards is if you are a guy, you have a lot of money, but you don't have a 9 to 5 to earn it. You just do it doing some other stuff, whether you influencing.
Effortlessly. It's
Yes,
effortless.
you're either selling drugs, you're rapping, you're an influencer, you're whatever. But having a 9 to 5 is.
I mean,
not cool
truthfully,
anymore.
it definitely is not. It
not
definitely is not.
This is the thing about it. Fuck OnlyFans. Fuck social media. You don't have to have a 9 to 5 anymore. There are other things that you can do. You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of
But
people
it
don't want to
takes
put in the
work.
A lot of people don't want to put in
Yes,
the work.
perseverance. Takes
Yeah.
time.
And
You
and
know what I'm saying?
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But I'm saying is there's always been entrepreneurs, there's always been people that have, started their own businesses, investments, whatever. And that's fine. But there's always been people, and society is always going to have a need for the worker, for the grinder, for the guy who gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and does a job.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work without it.
Because our society needs that person to do that job. There was at a time where that guy, he could be a janitor, he could be a carpenter, he could be a bus driver, whatever. There was a time where if you were a young guy, 21, you got one of these jobs, you were well respected. You were well respected by your peers, your community. Women were very into a young man who got he works for the
you're
MTA.
right. There was a time, could have been decades ago though, where it's like, okay, you working a job, it's consistent, you're making good money, you could pay for the house, but the expectations.
Like, hey babe, I want to go have brunch this Tuesday in Miami with my girlfriends. Let's go. Well, I'm sorry, hon, I can't. I have to go to work. You're a lame. Bye.
Because you ain't keeping up with the wave.
Yeah, you you not lit. You not the vibes. You know.
And part of that is too, even
Mm.
not even to go back to the job thing, but just in general, it's like if you supporting yourself, you know what I mean? How could you be twisting somebody's mind and be like, oh, they fucked up, oh, that's not cool. So who gives a fuck? It's not cool. You man holding it down, doing what you gotta do. You know what I mean? So it's like that's just
To me, if for me to say, oh, he's a cool dude, it's like, yo, you take care of your shit, you do what you got to do, and you're an all around decent person. We can kick it, whatever. We can chill. You're not on some funny shit, whatever. You're not an
right,
asshole,
right.
whatever. That's cool. You know what I mean? Real normal shit. But what do I
So,
know? I'm
but you know what
old.
I feel like we have come to a culmination. I do feel like we could say this about cool that it varies from person to person, right? Cool varies from person to person. Cool
Right.
looks like influence, right? If you really cool, you got more influence. Some would say like this Hollywood guys, like a Hollywood actor has more influence. He's super cool, super popular, right? So it kind of looks like influence. And there's like your background, right? Like depending on the rooms you've been in and how you were raised, might point you in the direction of what's cool and what's not cool. Like some people might say having fly clothes is cool. Some might say not buying properties is cool.
Facts. So scene 5, what would you say is the gray area to cool, the middle ground?
Where things are at these days, I think it's moving at such an accelerated rate that, like, I don't know. I talked about it in the last podcast. Like, my niece and nephew just turned 18, and my nephew specifically has been hitting me up and sending me like MF Doom, West Side Gun, like, but it was all shit that he organically got into, and I think that's kind of cool. Like, one thing I talked about with him was his generation is not so selective as to like genre. Like, people aren't just straight up defining themselves like, yo, I'm this person or that person or I'm this, like,
Right.
as far as like in the 90s it used to be like, yo, I'm a hip hop head or I'm a metal head or I'm a goth head. Like, it's where I think this group just gets information so quick that it's either dope or it's not, and
Mm.
it gets accepted or written off, or it goes one way or another, really quick. And I think that's something that our generation can't comprehend. Is like, this generation just grew up with, when you got to an age where you had a phone, you had a phone, and you always had the internet and you always had YouTube. I don't know, like, I still kind of I go back to when an album would come out, and like, if the shit, back when albums dropped on Tuesdays, it was a big deal if you could find like a record store that would put something out on Friday night. And so you would have the album the weekend before everybody.
Fire.
And I mean, I have countless albums that I remember the weekend that I had that album before everybody had it, and it was just like super exciting. And now I don't think it works like that anymore at all. It's just kind of, it's very organically, like, it's either dope or it's not. Like, if you hear somebody's song and you're just like, yo, I like this person, or I like this performer, or I like this person acting in a movie, like, you just click, it's a couple clicks away from their whole career, their whole discography, their whole anything. And whereas when we were coming up, it was just a little bit more mystique, I guess, where if I like something, I would have to look it up, and then sure enough, and there's a million examples. I get into this with this dude I work with. I was trying to explain to him. I was like, "Yo, when Jay-Z dropped Reasonable Doubt, he was not big at
Right.
all."
Nobody knew him. That's
And
a
then
fact.
Jay-Z at one point was just like some dude that rapped with Biggie and he had some premiere beats. That's it. Like, I legit was just like, "Yo, I'll check this guy's shit out." Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, he's like, when the first time I heard Reasonable Doubt, I was like, "Yo, this is pretty good." You know what I mean? Like, this is just like, this is the guy that Biggie did a song with, and oh, here's the two premiere tracks. But nobody, and people are full of shit. Nobody listened to that and was just like, "Yo, this guy's gonna take over
Right.
hip hop music
Right.
in general." You know what I mean? So I think it's a whole lot of like, it's a big balancing act between access to content, and also I think people our age and older, like, don't, like, we're never going to understand what it's like to grow up the way that the youth have grown up, like the people that were born in mid 2000s do for
No, that's
sure.
a fact. And you know what the crazy thing is? I work with a couple young guys, younger than me, right? In some cases, 10 years younger. And I'll say this about their generation: their generation is 100 times more ambitious than we were, and it's just
Right.
I've seen it. I've seen it multiple different instances. Now they might not be as I'm not going to say that they're not as smart because it's a different time, so they know how to navigate a different time. You know what I'm saying? But they're way more ambitious than the generation that I come from. You know what I'm saying? Like if they want it, they're gonna go and try their best to get it. You know what I'm saying? But I think that also goes back to a lot of our parents when we would tell them our dreams. A lot of it was just unrealistic to them. You need to go get a job. You need to go do this. We come from that generation. You know what I'm saying? I feel like obviously there's parents who are still like that, but we were the kids who kind of took that to heart. You know what I'm saying? These kids are like, all right, well, yeah, I hear you, but I'm still gonna go after mines, and I appreciate that. I really do.
I think there's a difference between kids that were raised by baby boomers and kids that were raised by Gen Xers.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I agree.
I think baby boomers was more like they came up in a more rigid time. You know, it was like this is what you did.
Right.
You
Like,
went
what do you,
out,
what
you
do you
got a
mean you want to
job.
make music? You want to be a
Yeah,
rapper?
yeah. What are you talking about? No, you're gonna get this job at this factory, and you're gonna work 25 years and get your
Yeah,
pension and
you
retire.
can only teach what you
Right.
know. You can only
You
teach
know
what
that
you
was,
know.
and I can't blame them. I
That's a
can't blame
fact.
them because it was a different time. It was a
Right.
different way of thinking. You know, you can't totally blame. You can't blame a generation for thinking a certain way because what their idea of cool was. All right, so a baby boomer, right? Their idea of cool was their parents. What they saw was you by a certain age, you had a career, you bought a house, you got married, you bought a house, you had two cars, you got a new car every 5 years or something, and that was that. You paid your house off for 30 years, then you retired a year later, and you know you did what you wanted to do. It was a
Maybe you
different
moved to
time.
Florida.
Maybe you moved to Florida. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was a different time, different culture. You know, then the Gen Xers came where they were a little bit more, well, you gotta follow your heart, and this and
Mm-hmm.
that. And they pass that on to their kids now. And I think that's where the entrepreneurial spirit comes from.
I have a couple friends that their kids are now getting into their teenage years, but like I said, my niece and nephew are twin 18-year-olds, and I've asked my sister this over the years. Like, it was something that kind of came up because we were spending a lot more time together, like during COVID and all that. And I was just like, do your kids ever just stop and ask you, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, when it comes to just like some shit that's just on the news, it could be just anything from a school shooting to indicting former president, like whatever. Like, it's just like if somebody was 6 years old in 2011 and now they're, say graduating high school or whatever, it's just kind of, has anybody ever stopped to be like, what do you think about this? Like, this is I don't know. I always think of it in terms of like, I was a senior in high school when uh Columbine,
Mm.
and it was this big like cultural like, what were they listening to? Like, what in our society has driven these kids to, and then smash cut to, somebody who's 18 now. It's like, yo,
Right.
we do dozens of school shootings a year. And it's just like, there's no, it's just kind of, it just is. The speed of things is so wild that I don't think we'll
We
ever
get it. We saying it
get
right
it.
there, baby.
And
We
I
do
think
get it. I
really it's
think
just the
cool
youth
is
that like,
multifaceted. Well, peep game. Nas and Wu Tang are
we
concerting
do,
right now.
but
They're
we
going
get
all
to
around the globe.
observe
Young
it.
kids
We get,
recognize that that's cool. They're buying into that. We recognize that that was cool when it was going on. I feel like quality transcends influence. Quality will give you influence, right? If you make right, if your car is good enough, the quality is good enough, right? The music,
100%.
it'll become cool again because it has that. It can bring that influence again. So it's like a lot of this is perception, right? And it's relative to the person, but there's always constants, right? There's consistency in certain things, whether it be music or art or fashion always comes back, right? So it's like really it's just for me, but the gray area of it is like just make sure you make it up your own opinion because there's always going to be a spectrum of it. Like this might be cool. Even now, like look, we used to have like one perception of the rapper, like that was the rapper model that's cool. Now it's 7 kind of rappers that are cool now, right? You got the hipsters, you got the sing rappers, you got the, you know, so they got a plethora of shit they say is cool now. The mumbles, I don't know what they call themselves now, but
I
you
like
know,
that you said
is
the
it even
mumbles.
mumble rap anymore? I don't know. But you got the Migos and them niggas, you know.
Nah, nobody really mumble rap anymore.
It
It's
depends
really,
on where you from. Certain regions still mumble.
it's really about the
Well,
drill,
listen,
dude.
man. You know what I will say?
It's really about the drill and the druggies now. You either a druggie,
That's the problem.
you either a druggie or
Everybody
you a
either shooting
driller, dude.
or shooting up. You either shooting or shooting up,
It's
man.
not sustainable.
What happened?
You either gonna sit here and get high, or you
Well, I'll
gonna
tell you this. You know,
or
he
you
just
gonna
said it's not
gun your
sustainable. You
ops
know, the
down
only thing that
tonight.
makes the sad shit sustainable is always new. There's always another new 18-year-old. Or this place, it gets the age gets younger now because there's 14-year-olds banging and listening to drill. So there's always a new population of kids that get to that age. So it's like sadly, it's like because there's a certain populace that say that's cool, that's the wave. It's always going to be a new, you know what I mean, group of people we could sell that to.
I think I brought this up a couple podcasts ago, but there's a documentary called "All the Streets Were Silent."
Mm.
It's basically about like early hip hop, like late '80s, early '90s hip hop in New York, and like skateboarding, and it eventually evolves into the creation of Supreme, like the Supreme
Oh, that's
brand,
dope.
and it's just all organic, dope shit. It's just all street. I mean, that was the height of when I was like, yo, I'm gonna graduate high school and I'm gonna move to New York. Like I'm gonna, like that. It just was the coolest shit ever. Almost 100% sure. I gotta look it up, but I think it's called "All the Streets Are Silent" or "All Streets Are Silent," something like that. But it's just a dope look at things that were organically cool in the late 80s and early 90s in New York. At the end, it basically talks about what Supreme got bought for, which was just millions and millions of dollars. Something
Organic
absurd.
growth.
But it all came from, just having a cool skate shop.
But you know what they
and
was
just
buying
combining
it for?
art with
They was
skating
buying that influence, baby.
and
They was like,
hip-hop
oh,
and
this
like
shit is massive. We can't, right? We can't grow this ourselves. Let's buy into this.
right.
So it's like, yeah, that's big. And you know what I was gonna say too? That reminds me of Jonah Hill made a movie, a 90s something. Mid-90s.
Mid
That
90s.
reminds me of the
that shit
result.
is
Mid
fire.
90s. Yeah,
Those
that
are
was
people
dope.
growing up, kids growing up in that era, right? So you're the result and the product of what we're talking about. Cool of that era,
100%,
right?
man. I told people, like, when I saw that movie, I was just like, yo, I can, like, when they're
Everything
at the
to
skate
them
park and they're
talking,
just like
like they're
drinking
like
40s and smoking,
homophobic. You know what I
like,
mean? Like even that
shitty
shit was
weed.
straight 90s.
Yeah,
Like
100%. I was
it
like,
was
yo,
accurate.
I was like, this is very accurate. Like, this dude did not, he wasn't making a fantasy about that is right in my time zone right there.
It's like,
Yeah,
being from that and knowing what is cool, you can kind of identify as, okay, it resonates. Of course, the young kids got their version of that now, what's going on. We know products use that, right? Sell it, even, which is a documentary is a reminder of that.
Right.
All the Streets Are Silent because they come in and buy it when it's hot. And so if nothing else is like cool and influence is big because
right.
to some it transcends into dollars, but to people like us, it transcends into art. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's a fact. That reminds me of Basquiat. I don't know why I thought about Basquiat just now.
It's funny you say that, man. Actually, this is something else that came up. Basquiat specifically, and also in that "All the Streets Are Silent" documentary. So I think it's like the summer of '81, when the band The Clash were like the biggest. They were like punk rock, but also like one of the biggest popular bands in the world, and they played the Bonds Theater on 45th Street, like right by Times Square, and the scumbag promoters had oversold all their shows. So they were supposed to do like whatever it was, 8 or 9 shows. And the fire department was just like, no, like we're not going to be able to honor all these tickets because they had just basically been sold to like double capacity. And so they were like, the only way that you're going to be able to, and I'm paraphrasing this, but they were like, we're going to honor every single ticket. But now we have, instead of doing like 5 or 6 shows or whatever it was, they did like 19 shows, and they included like matinees, and they had all these. So this is like '81, and I might be merging stories here, but the one was, and I know
Who, Phil?
you guys had Phil Painson at IR, right?
I don't think so.
The
Phil?
teacher Phil.
I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
Phil, black dude, super chill. Like, he was
That's
a
a
good dude.
fact.
Nah, we
Anyway,
never had no
he
black
was
teacher besides Pascal.
Pascali.
Shout
The
out
guy,
Pascal.
No, Phil
the guy
was
who
down.
taught, no, the guy who taught the soldering class. He was black.
Tony.
Oh, Tony, my
was
son
down
Tony
with-
Tony Collins.
was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, Tony Collins.
Yeah.
Tony
Yeah,
Collins.
Tony,
alright.
the nigga, yo, oh my God, yo, not to cut you off, bro, but there was a time when I don't know what happened, but the nigga Tay said
Word?
something to Tony Collins, and that nigga got hot, and then the nigga, yeah, you and him
Hey,
was
yo,
about
that-
to go at it back in the day, bro. But this was like, but that's because it was one of the first classes we had. It was like the first
Yo, like
class
3 or
of
4
the
people
day,
in
the
that
first
building had it
day.
out for me. Remember the
You know
security
what I'm
guard?
saying? Remember the security guard? Yo, Sean, you remember the black lady, the security guard? She was big. She was like D from the
Hey, yo,
Wayans
she
brothers.
did not
Janet.
like me, dog.
Yo.
I don't know what that was about.
Yo, Janice straight up stabbed
What?
like some her
Nah.
her granddaughter got into it with some dude, and this guy, I guess, put
What?
his hands
She
on her
hawked
granddaughter.
him?
She jabbed him up, dude.
She hawked him?
Yo,
She-
let me ask
she
you this, Sean.
legit-
Let me ask you
she-
this, Sean. Was she from Brooklyn by
No,
any
she
chance?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, she definitely disliked me.
My boss bailed her
Yo,
out a
she
few
really-
times. She was no joke. She was a realist.
She
She
was
really was
pressing
trying to come at me,
motherfuckers
dog.
and shit like that, bro. For real.
Nah, she was
She was good for that
Nah, she
job.
was really trying to keep me from my education.
Good
Word.
Lord. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. There was a specific time where it was me and him. We was on our way to school. We got there. She was giving him shit at the door. Yo,
you
we
know,
left.
fuck this shit.
We left. We went back uptown.
Yeah, see, she stopped me.
We left.
She stolen my education, Sean. What's going on?
Oh my God. Oh, yo. The
Hey,
time
it
the
would've been
train almost took my
Muggsy
leg
A,
off.
son.
Yes.
Bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
You fell. You almost fell. Like, yo, I don't know.
Yo.
I'd never seen anyone do it before. But you fell. You fell in between the train and the platform, bro.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you what happened. And let me tell you something. MTA, count your fucking days. Nah. Listen. I'm gonna tell you what happened, all right? So we at 14th Street, Union Square. You know, the platform is mad crowded. We trying to get on the 6 train going uptown. These two niggas is already on the train, right? Now keep in mind, there's still plenty of time to get on the train. So there's no reason that these doors should be closing, okay? So they get on the train, I'm right behind them. I got a fucking book bag
My bad,
on,
bro.
feel me? I'm a student at this time. Studious, you understand me? Doing the right thing. Nah, listen, it's all good. Doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? I put one foot onto the train. The nigga closed the doors, bro. The fucking doors catch my book bag. The shit pulled my leg back. So now the leg that was about to get on the train, 2 legs on the train, the one leg fall back in between the platform and the motherfucking train, right? So my leg hits the fucking the lip on the damn train and pushes all of my skin up to my knee. But my skin don't break. So I got a fucking big ass bubble under my knee. You feel me? And what do I do?
Yo.
What do I do in true New York fashion? Because I'm raised in the 90s, nigga. I'm a 90s baby. What do? I push that shit down and I go home, nigga. I pushed that shit down and grinded it out, went home. My leg was fucked up for 7 months.
Hey, yo, I did say, yo, my man, you good? He was like, yo, I'm straight.
I thought.
Yo.
I thought you were joking. I thought you were joking at first because you like felt it happened in like slow motion.
Nigga thought I was playing around or some shit. I'm
Yeah,
out here
you
for play,
felt-
nigga. I'm out here for
You
play.
fell in like slow motion. You was like,
You know
you
why I
was
fell in
like-
slow motion? Because the nigga closed the door before he was supposed to. Nigga, he
And then
closed the door on me. Then the door opened up and stayed open for another 30 seconds. Then the shit ding dong. Then that shit happened, bro.
he was about to, and he wanted to pull off. He wanted to pull off too while you were
He
while
was
you were
trying to
caught
get
in
me,
between the
bro.
platform. While you were caught in between the platform and the train, he wanted to pull off.
And you know what the crazy thing is? So I'm over here, right? These niggas is like, oh shit, what the fuck happened to you? They're looking at my leg, my shit is crazy. I'm looking at them,
I said,
my
yo,
shit
you
is
good?
crazy,
I
right?
remember saying you good.
They're like, what do you want to do? Nigga Stiz is on some shit like, yo, bro, just lay there and call for a cop and we'll get an ambulance. I'm like, nigga, I'm good, bro. I'm good. But you know what?
Yeah. You
You
should
know
have
what,
laid on
bro?
the ground, dude.
This is you see, this is
Oh my
perfect
goodness,
because this is where
that was
fucking
funny,
perception of cool comes in, nigga.
bro. You
I
ain't
should
been
have just
different.
laid
We'd
there
have
and
been
got a
on a
bag,
different
bro. I could have
podcast.
got a bag off of that. This nigga, we'd have been
This
on
has
a
been
different podcast, bro.
But people would have also, while you were laying there, people would have been like, "Yo, get the
oh
fuck
my
up out
goodness.
the way, you
Yo, you
fucking
ain't
Word
hurt.
that. I
loser,
gotta get
You ain't
home.
hurt, you bum. I gotta go to
I'm
yo.
late for
Oh my
yeah,
dinner.
you
god,
fucking
bro.
clown."
I'd have been breaded up. You understand me? Yo, bro. Tough that shit out.
Yo,
Walk that shit
MTA,
off, nigga.
Dookies.
The fuck?
MTA Dookie
Oh
chain. You
my
gotta get that,
goodness,
man.
yeah,
I'm
man.
telling you. Now, you know what I am gonna do though? I'm
That's a
gonna get
good
a
one.
fucking t-shirt that says MTA count your days. Straight like that. We
Final thoughts
definitely
on
fit the
cool. I'll say,
bill,
yo, be yourself,
you
man.
know.
That's what live through yours is about. That's LTY forever, right? Like, cool is one thing, but you gotta be true to yourself. So we always knew that. We always followed that. So yeah, if you in the gray, you believe in no certainties and no absolutes, then yo, do what you gotta do, right? And fucking live the best life you can.
Agree. Yeah, Stiz, where you weigh in? Final thoughts.
Yeah, I think as long as you know you respect yourself, you respect the others, you do what you got to do. You stand on what you believe in. That that's that's what's cool to me. You know what I mean? Just all around, you be a man, dude. If you're a man, you know, we cool. You know what I'm saying? Not no funny shit. You know what I mean?
Nah, yeah, keeping it a buck, keeping it a bean at all times. I
Keeping it
Yeah,
understand.
being.
you don't have to do nothing crazy. You don't got to be on no crazy shit to be cool in my book.
Right.
Just
Scene 5, where you weigh in, bro?
That reminded me of when keeping it real go wrong. Like, when does it go wrong? Right? It's like,
You know when that oh shit moment happens. You know what I'm saying? I think you know what. Listen, I say this. Maybe you know even before that. You might know that you're not
right, you still
keeping it
right,
real by attempting to keep it real, and then when something happens
right.
because of that, you
Like
know what I'm saying. You knew that shit was
when you
going to
know when you
happen.
do it too much.
You
So
know
like
what
you
I'm
doing too
saying?
much. You knew you was doing too much. You didn't need somebody to tell you that. You felt this. Like, you overexerting yourself right now.
I didn't realize I was muted, but I would say one thing that I think is really with the youngins today is kind of going back to what we were saying before, like shit that is corny and forced and cringe, as the kids say, like that shit gets picked out real quick.
Mhm.
So I think that I do think like we're approaching. I don't know. When we were kids, I'm sure our parents, like our generation, like the generation above us, was like, these kids, like, what are they, like, just, their heads are filled with nonsense and this and that. It's like, I do think that the younger generation has as nutty as they may be, I do think there's a quicker self awareness
For sure.
that they have equipped that comes with growing up with the internet. That is, again, it's going back to what I was saying before. I don't think any of us can even relate to it. Anybody who's aged like 15 to 20 something, like early 20s right now, like they have such a different relationship with the speed of things and popular culture than we can have. Like, sadly, it's like it's already lost. Like we're not going to ever be able to relate to what it's like to grow up the way that they did. So
Same way you could say, and it's true, like we can't fathom growing up with all the technology and what they have. It's like they won't be able to fathom what it is growing up with the vinyls, right? And the warmth of the music and music at that type of level where it wasn't so digital, it was analog, right? It's like there's certain things that and that'll play into how you act and react to certain things, but the only thing they're bound to is how much they can look up, right? You can look up how to do almost anything. You know what I mean, right? So it's like they're only bound to how much they can look up. So it's like they have a higher capability, or maybe they have a higher probability of being capable of doing things. You know what I mean? And achieving certain goals. But it's also about going out and getting it and making sure that you try. Because it's also the idea of overload. There's so much going on. It's like you're not paying attention to nothing. So it's like either there's a lot going on and they're not paying attention to nothing. I see young cats like that. Or it's like, no, it's like anything I want to learn, I can go learn because that's the technology phase we're in now. and they benefit from that. And so it's like, yeah, really, really is up to the person now. It's like before, it's like there was only a limited amount of information out anyway. So it's only going to be 5 things you were to think about doing or trying in any way, because that's all there was out. Now it's like there's no, it's limitless.
Right. I'll agree with that. All right. So for a final thought, when perceived correctly, cool can inspire people and motivate people to putting their best foot forward in attempts to become the coolest version of themselves. That's the good side of it. The bad side of it is the notion of being cool is easily confused when keeping up with social pressures and often leads to overcompensation. All right, that's my second opinion, and then the third opinion would be what we all agree on is that cool. The gray area of cool is that cool is subjective. So what I find cool, you might not find cool, and you know, it's one of those things that
And
lives in
it's
the gray.
and it's
That's a fact.
definitely influence. I'll add that too. Like even when I think about that book about influence, the shit is just cool. The more cool something is, or appeared to be cool, so it has more influence to people. And the general populace of people might say it's more valuable. Like the way we do old Hollywood stars. That dude's real popular right now. Okay, he's more valuable. We got to pay him more. Like you know what I mean? So it's like our idea of what is cool and what's current and what's popular also goes into how valuable and how important something is.
Agreed. And that is the episode, gentlemen.
No.
This is the Gray Area, episode 2. What is cool?